It's giveaway time. It's giveaway time. It's giveaway time. I'm Rebecca, the Frugal Resinista. I'm the mom of 5 amazing little kids, but I discovered a couple years ago that I needed something that was just for me, so I tried resin painting, and I fell in love with it. But I quickly discovered that being a resin artist was really expensive. So I started exploring ways that I could create beautiful art but do it on a budget. Once I discovered that that was possible, my new goal became to teach other people how to do the same thing so that resin art could be accessible for anyone. I believe that there's an artist in all of us, and we just need the opportunity to discover it in ourselves. Thank you for joining me on my art journey, and I hope that you create your own art as well as you learn from my videos. Remember, no matter what your final product looks like, your art is beautiful because you created it with your own hands. Ooh, it's on fire. Hi everyone, Rebecca the Frugal Resinista here. I am coming at you guys today with a fun new kind of thing that I just started trying. I am going to be making some faux stained glass with resin and alcohol ink, and also to celebrate hitting 12,000 subscribers, I'm going to be doing my May giveaway. So let me show you guys what I've got here. I will be giving away this set of 3 Ranger brand alcohol inks, as well as a tin to carry your alcohol inks in. So if alcohol ink has been something you guys have wanted to try but haven't, or if you just don't have enough colors and a way to store yours, I encourage you to join the giveaway. That is going to be on my Patreon site, and I will link that below. You do not have to be a member of Patreon to participate in that. So I hope you all head over there and take a look. If you do want to support me in any way, I would so appreciate that. Over on the Patreon site, you're able to do that if you want to, and it helps me to keep buying resin and keep making videos. So today we're going to make some faux stained glass. I'm really excited about it, and I hope you guys enjoy. All right, Frugal artists, check this out. This is super cool. I got this fake window pane from our local resale shop, St. Vincent de Paul, and this was marked for $4, and they were having 70% off their red stickers, and this was a red sticker, so I got this for just over $1. Don't be jealous, but it's fabulous. So this is shabby chic. I'm assuming this originally came from like a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby or something, but I'm going to attempt to make this look like actual stained glass. I don't know what I'm doing, and I haven't tested this yet, so you guys are going to see the results whether it turns out or not. I'm really hoping it does because I think it would be really cool. What I'm going to attempt to do, I've got parchment paper under this. I am going to glue gun around all these edges, and then I'm going to fill in with clear resin just as our starting point. Once the resin's in, it'll soak into this really rough wood, and it should stay in place. I am not going to do anything else to the back of this because if you look at real stained glass, it's cloudy and milky, and I want it to be that way, so I am not shooting for really, really clear resin. So I was kind of excited actually to use the parchment paper because it'll just leave it a little matte finish on the back. So let's do this thing. Alright, so for the most part, this was more level than I thought it was going to be. I already know my desk is level, and I really was able to put just a little bead of glue around the inside of all of this, except for right here and here. So this little piece, I guess it's not just as flat as the rest, so I had to add a little extra glue to that. But the next thing I'm going to do is mix my clear and pour it. I'm using Stone Coat Countertops Art Coat for the clear bottom here. You guys know me, this stuff takes forever to cure and it drives me crazy. But I'm going to wait the 24 hours and do it for 2 reasons. One, I want the bubbles to have time to come out, and if I use quick coat, the bubbles won't be able to come out on their own as fast. I'm going to use the blowtorch, but very sparingly, because if you get your blowtorch too close to your parchment paper, it'll make it bubble, and then my parchment paper will no longer be flat. And stained glass is not completely flat, so I'm not worried about it for the natural little bits of grooves and things in here, but I don't want to add to it. The other reason is that Stone Coat's Quick Coat is my favorite to use in general when I'm adding a bunch of colors, but it does tend to yellow more than the art coat. So because I'm pouring clear, I want to make sure that this is really, really totally clear and not with a yellow tint. So I'm going to mix that up. Obviously a bunch of it. I'll probably have to do 2 cups, one for this part and one for this part. And then we'll let it sit for 24 hours and I will attempt to peel it off and see if it worked or not. The way I'm going to pour this is to start kind of high and pour a little stream instead of dumping a bunch in, because again, I don't want to have to hit this too much with my blowtorch, and doing it that way kind of helps pop some of the bubbles as they come down. I'm going to start up here and work my way down because this is the spot I'm the most iffy about if it's going to work or not without leaking. So, cross your fingers. We'll see what happens. If you guys hadn't noticed, I labeled my cups A and B because I knew I would be remixing and redoing this a couple times, and so I can reuse the same cups instead of having to get new cups out each time when I do it that way. All right, if you guys are wondering, yes, I am using a ton of resin, and no, that is not Frugal. But I got this idea stuck in my head and I knew I was going to need to try it. If you want to do this being even more frugal, the rest, other than the resin, this is going to be really inexpensive. But if you want to be more frugal, take a picture and just take the back off so that you're using the frame and the glass. And all you have to do is do the next steps that I show you right onto the glass. And then you don't have to worry nearly as much about all this extra resin you use. If this had glass in here, I wouldn't have to waste all this. But I don't think it's going to be wasting because this one's going to look cool. I'm pretty excited about it. All right, you guys, I'm just pushing this along all the edges to make sure it's nice and in there, and also to make sure that it has made it a tiny bit over my glue area, because then it'll stick to the wood really nicely and it should stay in the frame. I'm not going to lift this though for a little bit because I want to make sure that it's stuck in there really well. Obviously I tore this here and it's leaking through a little bit. I can sand the back of that to fix it because I'm not going to be, like I said, making the back shiny. So I'm not too worried about it. I think that's good for now. I don't see anything leaking out, but obviously the wood underneath is wide here, so it might be leaking under a little and I just don't know it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this with my torch as carefully as I can, and I'll probably babysit it a little bit, and I'm going to go make the kids dinner and then come back and peek at it a few times and just hit it with the bubbles. And tomorrow I will show you guys the next step. Alright, I've let this cure for a couple days. Here's the problem. In this section here and a little bit in this section here, it's still sticky. And it's lasted long enough that it should be fine by now, so that means I did not mix all the way, which really stinks. So my original plan was I was going to peel this off the back, and then I was going to put a design underneath it to just copy in black puffy paint and then fill it in to make my stained glass. But I don't know if this is sticky on the underside either, or if I poured it at the end doing this top part, and so it's only sticky on the top. If it's sticky on the bottom, I can't really stick paper underneath very well. I don't know if I can freehand stained glass or not. The other thing you'll notice that was ridiculous as well, I did start to get a leak outside of this edge. So I just grabbed my glue gun and glued along the edge, and then a little while later I got one here. So me being me, I put glue all the way around the outside edge because I knew I'd be able to scrape it off. But I got to over here and realized I did not have paper in that spot, so I glued it right to my desk. because I can scrape that off too. But it was a good thing I did actually, because as I'm looking over here, there's a little bit of resin that you can see underneath my parchment paper. So it did leak under there and it would have gotten all over the place. So I'm going to attempt real quick to peel this up and see if it'll even do it. If it won't, I'm still going to freehand this and go ahead and do the next layer so it's not sticky on top. And then I'll have to see on the back, once I'm finished with everything, I'll have to flip it over and sand it and add one more clear coat so that it's not sticky on the back either. So this might take a little finagling between gluing it and the fact that it's sticky, but I'm going to try to get the parchment off and just see what happens. Oh, you guys, it's not sticky on the bottom. I'm so happy. I thought I had poured a little extra into each section and that was the sticky part, but then I wasn't sure. And I thought, oh shoot, how am I going to do this? So I will be able to print on regular paper a design and then trace it. So I'm going to get this just cleaned off and then scrape the glue off my edges, and then we'll move on to that next step. Show you guys the back of this because I want you to see what ended up happening. It was actually a really good thing that I put glue all around the edges. Most of this leaked underneath, which is fine because it created a really solid back for me. I do have one little spot here that feels like sticky resin where I'm going to have to cover that. But overall, this is good. If you guys are wondering, see, it did leak under my parchment paper a little here. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to hit the edges with my blowtorch, and then all this will scrape right off with my razor blade. Alright, that actually worked really well. I had a couple trickier spots on both of these edges where I really had to saw at it, and that was where the resin had started to leak under and had already mixed with my glue. But then other spots where it was just the glue peeled right off. So all in all, I think that this is going to be just fine. I want to reiterate to you guys, you know that I do things the frugal way, and obviously using this much clear resin and having it leak under is not a big frugal thing. But I wanted to use this specifically, this window pane, because I thought it was cool. So if you guys want to do this technique, everything else I'm going to show you is very cost effective. I would just do it on regular glass. So for example, I have this piece of glass that was just an old picture frame that I picked up for $2.99 at a Goodwill, and I took the back off, and it already has these little parts holding it in. But what I would probably do is do just a bead of resin around the back and let that harden. And then I would decorate with stained glass on this side. And I probably will, because this is a good piece to do that with. And then you already have a framed piece that can be hung. So definitely look into that, and then you're not using all this extra resin. But if you find something like this, just know you want to seal along the outside edge so nothing spills out. The next thing I'm going to do is print the design that I want to put in my stained glass. And then we will start with the puffy paint outlining all of it. And then from there, we get to do more fun resin. The next thing I'm going to do is use black Tulip brand puffy paint or dimensional fabric paint to draw on the designs that I want to use for the actual stained glass effect. Now I've done most of this already. It takes forever, so I didn't want you guys to have to sit through all of it. But I'm going to do this last little piece here up close so that you can see exactly how I'm doing it. Before I started, I tested it on a tile, and I'm glad I did, because when I started I squeezed and air came out and shot things everywhere. So it does take some practice to make sure that you get everything to where you can squeeze it evenly. So I'm going to finish this design right up in the top here, and then the other thing I have to do, because this is supposed to look like stained glass, if you want it to be authentic, obviously these background pieces can't all be one solid piece of glass. So I'm going to need to go through and make lines where I would have cut the glass in the background just to make it look authentic. So I will zoom us in and finish up. Now some of these I actually traced. I printed some of these little designs that I found on Pinterest. I printed these off on just regular paper and made them black and white so I didn't waste my ink, and laid some underneath. So this one and this one were copied directly, and then I just freehanded the rest by looking at the pictures. So I'm going to do that one more time. and put one of these tiny little birds that I liked right up here in the top with a little branch and a berry. All right, so that's what my little top bird looks like. And from there, I'm going to let the puffy paint dry for 4 hours, and then I'm going to come back and start mixing some color and pouring my colors in just like a paint by number. A close-up of everything I did. As you can see, I added the extra lines in between my designs because if you're doing real glass, some of those cuts around the flowers and things would not be possible on glass. So to make it look as authentic as possible, I've added extra lines where the glass would have been cut. I used just those really inexpensive dollar store beads to add just a little actual glass to this, like they're berries or something, just to give it a little bit of a extra glass look to make your eyes think that's what you're seeing. So I apologize if this is sideways, but so this is my design. And again, the puffy paint has to dry for about 4 hours, and then I'm going to start filling it in with resin. All right, I've actually let this puffy paint dry for a few days because I had other stuff going on. I'm now going to mix my art coat once again, and I'm going to do it into a larger cup, and then I'm going to split that into these tinier cups and color them. I'm using, like I said at the beginning, my Ranger brand alcohol inks. And they look like this. And probably a lot of you guys have seen videos of the alcohol ink where you drip it in and then put white over the top of it and let it make designs. That's really cool. But for this, obviously, I don't want it to be thick and I don't want it to do that. So I'm going to very carefully just add a tiny bit of at a time into each of these cups and then really mix it up so that I get just a straight color, but a really light color so that light can still come through. So as always, I will speed this up, and when I'm finished, I will give you guys the heads up on what colors I used and everything. I'm all mixed, and I'm going to do one color at a time. And so I'm going to pour just little bits because I don't want to have too much of a color ready, and then I'll probably have to keep mixing more. So I'm going to start with easy things like leaves. I'll probably just mix some green first. The other thing is if you look at real stained glass, it is not a solid color. So what I might do is pour, for example, in the leaves, pour some green and then add a little more color so that it's a little darker, and then do some more so that my shades aren't an even flat color with each color that I put in here. don't know if you can tell really well by the picture, but I thought that my purple was not working well. I let this dry overnight and it looked like I had a lot more blue, so I used a lot of purple in the birds thinking that it was going to come out more blue, and now I have really purple birds, which is fine. It's not quite what I was expecting, but I just thought that was interesting that the resin did that. So I wanted to note that to you guys. I forgot one flower, so I'm doing that, and now I'm going to do the opposite and trust that I just tinted this purple, so hopefully when it cures it's more purple, because right now it looks green, but whatever, we'll see. This is an experiment, so I'm trying to use a lot of colors and a lot of different things so that if you guys try it, you'll already know what works and what doesn't. So I'm finishing this last flower, and then what I'm going to do, I've mixed my last big batch to cover all the background, and I am going to actually show you here. I'm going to use just a tiny bit of my mixatives in Pearl of this Ranger alcohol ink. It'll add a shimmer to things, and then I am going to add the tiniest bit of blue. Basically, I've used a lot of turquoise and things. I'm going to just use one that's called Pool because I want it to be super light, almost that it's not blue, but just not quite clear. And so that's what I'm going to start mixing now, and we'll pour the background and let this cure, and it will be finished. You guys, this turned out so cool. This was really fun. This one took forever, and I've had a lot of time to think through it as I'm working on it. So here are the 2 tips I would give you guys if you do this. First, make sure your barriers are high enough. I know you've already probably all noticed this, but I have a few spots where my color leaked out. I was actually worried that I was going to make them too tall and they would stick out and look weird, so I purposely made them kind of short, but I just wasn't thinking about the fact that the resin was going to be so high. So I kind of had to mess with that a lot, and there are some spots that are imperfect because of that. The other thing is that it's really interesting that the alcohol ink looked the wrong color, and then when it hardened, and when the resin cured, it went back to the right color. So again, you'll see earlier in the video, I thought all of this was going to be really blue, and this was going to be blue and blue, and it's purple, and that's fine. I don't mind, but it's not quite the color scheme I was going for. So be very aware of that your alcohol ink will be the color it's supposed to be once it's cured. So other than that though, I think this is fun. This one took a really long time because I did not use my quick coat that I usually use. I use the Art Coat resin from Stone Coat Countertop. So you guys know me, and this was a trial of my patience. But I think it turned out great. I'm going to let it cure, and then tomorrow I'll take final pictures and show you guys, and I'll hold it up to the light and see how it turned out. But let me take my camera down, and I'll give you guys a close-up. All right, you guys, here's the close-up, and I'm sorry, I'm on my other table because I have so much art everywhere drying right now in my studio space that it's a little crazy, so the lighting's not great, but here is my finished product. Again, I think that last flower is going to turn purple once it cures. And you'll see there are a few spots where things leaked, but all in all, I think that was super fun. Very neat project. I'll show you one thing. This is my favorite little guy right here. I like how that white turned out and how it looks like stained glass. These two little guys. That's my favorite little panel if I had to pick one. All right. Thank you guys as always for watching. Remember, for the giveaway, go to my Patreon page. I will have it linked in the comments. You don't have to be a member to participate. And find me on Facebook and Instagram as the Frugal Resinista. And thank you guys so much as always for supporting my art. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day.